the Catholic girl gives her beef burger to the Hindu girl and she eats it and she relishes it. And she wants to know where you bought from, mother made, how do you make it? I want to know the recipe. And then when she goes back, the Catholic girl is told that it is a taboo. Beef is taboo for Hindus. And now she is scared. These are the things. We have to look forward, not backward.
Today in Other View, we have with us a legendary writer who wrote in Konkani, comparatively a smaller language, but awarded Jnanpith Award, which brought Konkani language into the limelight of our national arena. It is none other than Damodar. Welcome, sir.
Thank you.
Sir, first I would like to ask some personal questions.
Yes.
Because you born to Portuguese era and
Yes.
studied in Mumbai, the old Bombay, and you are well versed in Portuguese as well as in English, but you wrote in Konkani. As I said in the introductory remarks, that it is a comparatively a small language. Why you chose Konkani as your language for communication?
I'll start from where you started. Yes, I was born during the Portuguese regime. I was in my late teens when the Portuguese were driven away, and then I was also witness to the army action, that Operation Vijay, that our Indian military army, when they entered, I was there on the streets to welcome them. So in a way it has helped me, because I was born during the Portuguese era, and I have seen the transformation phase and even transfer of power. I was very close to the cities and what was happening in Goa. Then I have also seen, I have the experience of crossing over to India, because we had to have some passport-like documents to cross over. And also I have seen many other agitations that happened in Goa. Many political moves the government has taken. And yes, for my higher education, I had just completed SSC when Goa was liberated. And then I went to Mumbai for my college education. So that was very, very vital for me, because for the first time I was exposed to a land which was earlier a foreign land, and then of course in my heart it was my land, and then also I was exposed to a different kind of life in Mumbai. And then of course I came back in '66 after my graduation, and since I had that urge to write, and the only language to write my creative writings, I prefer to write in Konkani for two reasons. One, Konkani was underestimated by people, particularly by politicians, particularly by the Maharashtrian population, because Maharashtra had an eye on Goa. They wanted Goa to be annexed to the state of Maharashtra. Yes, Goa is small. Goa has a smaller area today because of political borders. Otherwise, culturally, Goa is far bigger state. You may go up to Mangalore to call it a Konkani state.
Yeah.
You can go up to Ratnagiri to claim it as a Konkani land. But unfortunately, because of the colonial rule, our political borders are set, and as a result, the language, to make it an official language, it was constrained to this area only. But my language of my creative writings I have written only in Konkani, because I find I can express best in my own language. That way I know also Marathi quite well, better than probably many Maharashtrians. I know Hindi quite well because I have a flair for languages. I can also understand good enough Gujarati. I can read Gujarati. I studied Portuguese until the liberation, I can say. Then I switch over to Portuguese, English, and then but I started writing only in Konkani. Of course, I write articles in English. I continue to write. I can write articles in Marathi. I do write. I can have discourses in Marathi or Hindi or English. But then for my creative writing, only Konkani.
You mentioned that you have been you witnessed the you witnessed the transformation of power from Portuguese to the Indian government.
Yes.
The culture that has been remained by the Portuguese, as well as the living conditions that were prevailed in Portuguese era, that is definitely be an influence in the Goan people's life afterwards also. How these people of Goa continued their traditions without any hindrance.
Yeah, I understand your question fully well. As you said rightly, yes, I am witness to the earlier life and the later life, and the transformation has taken place in the Goan society. But frankly, I believe culture does not belong to power. Culture doesn't belong to foreigners. It belongs to the land. So the land has always been an Indian land. So we always at our heart, whether you are Hindus or Christians or anybody, we all knew that this is an Indian territory. So we never imbibed the values, the cultural values of the Portuguese. We imbibed some materialistic things, like for example the etiquettes or linguistic nuances, because you will find umpteen number of terms which are absorbed in Konkani. But the Portuguese will not realize it is Portuguese. Now, like kadal, this is chair where I am sitting on. In Portuguese it is cadeira, but in Konkani it become kadal. So it has now become Konkani term. So that way, the language has impacted our language and it has enriched the language. It is not to the, we are not at loss as such, but we have gained from it. Also similarly, the best of cultural nuances, we have learned from them. Some mannerisms or some, but mostly whatever the best the Portuguese had, we have imbibed. But yet we have retained our culture. And I can proudly say it is Indian culture. But you will find a difference if you travel to Goa, and particularly in the olden days. Now it is getting diluted. We have our own lifestyle. I don't know whether you heard the term sossegado. Sossegado is Portuguese term, which has come into Goan lifestyle, I would say. Sossegado is taking things easy, taking the difficult times in your stride, facing adversities, but not getting disturbed. So that is sossegado. That is a laid-back attitude of Goans is mistaken as lazy Goans. It is not so. And that is actually the best lifestyle for anybody to live long. That unfortunately people misunderstand, but we have imbibed many good things from the Portuguese. No regrets for that, because we are happy that has enriched our culture. But it is basically our own rustic culture.
When we talk about the language, recently Hindi has been used as a political language and also as a religious metaphor. In that circumstances, the languages like Konkani or other minor languages that has been awarded or represented or being trying to populate it, these all things have become something political. How do you think about that?
See, it seems the people in the dispensation, they think differently a bit, like Hindu, Hindi, Hindustani. But then I don't think it will work. Nobody can impose any language. I recall how Portuguese tried to impose their language. In 1684, I'm talking about a long time back in the history, they had banned the use of language. They have passed a decree to ban the language even in speech, and it was made mandatory that people speak only Portuguese. They wanted to kill the language, but it did not happen. Though there were a lot of conversions, the newer converts also did not accept it. It was banned to, they could not speak in the open probably, but they kept the language alive on that tongue. So language cannot be killed, one thing. Secondly, Portuguese also tried to impress upon people's psyche. Aqui é Portugal. Aqui é Portugal, meaning here is Portugal. They wanted to, make people forget their connections with India. So they wanted to impress upon the people that you live in Goa, which is part of Portugal. They called it Estado de India, that is the state in India, the Portuguese state in India. But people knew the folly behind it, so they could not succeed. And today also, wherever in the dispensation, I don't think they will succeed in imposing their language, not their language, it is all languages are ours. I can't say Malayalam is your language and mine is different. Yes, we have also learnt and imbibed so many terms from Malayalam language into ours. There is a lot of influence of Kannada language on my language. Similarly, my language, Konkani, has also influenced Marathi. People have wrong notions. Yes, lot of terms, Konkani terms have gone into Marathi and Kannada. We have not done enough study over it. But I mean to say, all languages will survive, will get enriched in spite of such impositions. Impositions of any kind, I hate it, I don't like it.
As you said, when we draw a parallel, like what Portugal try to do, that is what is happening nowadays also. They are using Hindi as a political tool. They are changing the names of our legal system to Hindi. And also one more thing, they are trying to teach you that this is not India but Bharat. That is happening.
It happened a long time back. It is not. They will not succeed. I'll tell you one thing: power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. So they should be aware of it, and people are aware of it. This is democracy. We have to remember one thing. We should try to protect our democratic rights, our democratic system at any cost, even at the cost of life. That is very, very important. And I am optimistic that it will continue to remain so.
And I would like to come to your creative writings.
Yes,
I would like to mention Karmelin, the novel you have written about the migrated laborers that went to Gulf region, Gulf countries from Goa. And we have also the same experience here in Kerala.
Yes.
A lot of people are going abroad for their livelihood.
Yes,
nowadays also, it happened in many years back also, and it also started in a massive way in late 60s as well as in early 70s as that happened in Goa also. There is I think we have, Goa and Kerala have a lot of things in common, particularly about this migration.
Yeah. It may be new for Kerala people to migrate to other countries. It is a phenomenon probably hardly about, say, 75 years old or 70 years old. For Goa, it is not. Goans were used to migrate or rather live abroad in the countries which were either Portuguese colonies or British colonies. Most of Goans would go to East African countries like Zanzibar or Tanzania or Uganda and all these countries. Even the Portuguese colonies like Angola or Mozambique. There are, even now today you find Goans living there. They continued living there for generations now. And these people who were used to go to African countries, they would, their people back home were relying heavily on the money orders that were coming from African countries, from these people who were away from Goa. But in 1961, Goa got liberated, and soon thereafter, almost in the same year, most of the African countries also were found their independence. Then all the regimes were almost taken over by the locals, and locals always hated those who supported or those who were in good terms with the power that was earlier, the Britishers or the Portuguese. So most of the people had to come back. So many people preferred to come back to Goa. Many went to other countries like Canada or Australia or UK, mainly UK. But the point that I was coming to, the people now wanted some income from some source. Those who have come back, and there was a vacuum that had taken place. So that is the time when countries like Kuwait and other Arab countries, they threw their doors open. It started with when they got petrodollars, they had enough money and they wanted domestic help. So it started with ayahs, and that is the time when they wanted ayahs to work in their houses. And the poverty back home here in India prompted our women to go to Gulf countries. I think there is one commonality between the Malayalam women and Goan women. They were, firstly, they culturally, they were richer, I would say. They would easily face any difficulties. They were ready to face. And in Goa particularly, they were used to migration. Some people had gone earlier to other countries and come back. So, and when the poverty-stricken women found that this is a good opportunity, many women went to mainly Kuwait to work as ayahs. Of course, when you prefer to go out alone, you have to pay price for it. They were exploited in all senses. At home means 24 hours work, and besides they were exploited sexually also. So people don't talk about it because it's not very, it's not in good taste to talk about it.
Yeah.
But in literature, you can certainly bring to notice by putting it in artistic manner. I think it has happened in my case where I wrote a novel where I could expose the life they spent in Kuwait. Now the situation is changed. No more ayahs go to Gulf countries, very few if at all. But most of the women who go now, they are educated, they work in good companies, and they go with their husbands, better halves. So the situation is not the same like before. But I hope I have done justice to documentation of the people who migrated there, particularly women.
There is another parallel between the Malayalam literature and your creative writings. N.S. Madhavan, the famous short story writer in Malayalam, has written a story, namely Panjamaha Kanyamar, that is connected to Ramayana. And you also written Teresa's Man.
Yeah.
That is that brought the root from Ramayana's Mandodari, I think. So there is a transtextual and transcultural exchange that we can see in Malayalam literature as well as your writings.
No, it's like the creative minds all over sometimes work in the same direction, and that is why you find these pieces. But then I don't think Madhavan had ever read my stories, or I have read his and then wrote. No. I know what you mean. But then at the same time, I think many stories I have been written on similar topics. Like Paul Sakriya has written about Malayali people going out of Kerala, out of India in search of jobs, like IAS in United States or even other countries, even in I think Arab countries also. There are many writers who have written on these topics. So there you will find many similarities in literature, because culture is same. Now M.T. Vasudevan Nair, who has written that novel, Nalukittu. That is translated into Konkani. I was surprised that so many things, so many cultural nuances are the same. Even that we call it soki. So there are so many things, cultural things, which are common to Malayalam and Konkani.
You mentioned about MT now, and MT is celebrating his 90th birthday.
He completed
90
recently. I wanted to
recently.
be there, but unfortunately I could not make it. But MT is a friend of mine. He has visited my house more than once, and I have been to his house even before he won the Jnanpith, and we were together for 5 years in Sahitya Akademi, where we were on the executive board. So I have been very close to him. I enjoyed reading his writings, and I think I learned so many things from him. He doesn't talk much, but I found it different. He doesn't talk much in public, probably with others, but then with me he was very frank. We opened up very easily. I remember the long morning walks or evening walks we had in Delhi when we were free. So I'm very much attached to MT.
We Malayalis celebrated his 90th birthday with lot of programs. Many programs were there, and he was facilitated by many of the legendary people of Malayali as well as from other languages also.
Yes, I know.
But we are celebrating the writers, the legendary writers.
Yes.
But nowadays, the reading culture, reading practice of the people in Malayalam is not that much that happened in earlier days, I think. What about the Goan?
No, but I don't believe it. Every generation thinks, earlier people would read a lot. Now people have given up reading. Today morning when I was talking at this Sahitya Utsav also, I mentioned it. 100 years back, it was T.S. Eliot who said, novel is dead. As if there is no scope. And many people believed it. Now people have enough, they have written enough novels, and there is no more scope for novels. But novel continues to thrive. Again, same thing with other writings, short stories. People would say, now it is the end of literature. Younger generation does not want to go for. 50 years back, another article appeared in Saturday Review in the United States, vehemently stating that a younger generation is more interested in films than books, in images than words. It is not true. Even today, I know how many publishers look forward to my new creative writings. Already I have written one novel which is translated into from Konkani into Kannada, into Marathi, and now into getting published shortly in English. And what happens is it takes long probably because number of writers has also increased. Maybe one writer is not read. Maybe when MT was writing or when Tagdi was writing, probably there were millions writing simultaneously, but writers which were in hundreds have gone into thousands. Naturally, the readership is also divided. But I don't think so. But younger generation may have chosen to read not the print books.
Yeah.
But then they do read. And I think this new technology will not cut off them from literature, only cut off them from probably the medium of either books, from books to digital reading.
And I would like to mention one of your another creative writing, In the Name of Humans, In the Land of Humans.
In the Land of Humans.
Land of Humans. That created a controversy later on. And you have been threatened, and your privacy has been limited.
The threat has come from different quarters for different reasons. Not for this story. There are many stories which many people have raised their voice against, like a story like Burger, a beef burger. So where two girls are very close friends, and when they go for a picnic, school-going adolescent girls, they exchange their tiffins, and by mistake, rather not knowing, not realizing, the Catholic girl gives her beef burger to the Hindu girl, and she eats it and she relishes it, and she wants to know where you bought from, mother made, how do you make it, I want to know the recipe. And then when she goes back, the Catholic girl is told that it is a taboo, beef is a taboo for Hindus, and now she is scared. She is scared more of her friend, that she will get the scolding, she will get beaten. So, this psychological turmoil, which is the working of adult people, because girls are innocent. They are very innocent people, but we pour these ideas in their minds. This story also, when it was published, there were many eyebrows were raised. Nobody threatened as such for my writing. That way, Karmelin also, when it was written, there were some quarters, people objected, saying, you are spoiling the names of Catholics. Because it was the Catholic community who were used to migrate from Goa. So naturally, the Ayah who went to Goa, from Goa to Kuwait, was from the Catholic community. I didn't choose her because she was Christian. Automatically, she has taken place in my novel. But people thought that because Karmelin had to face sexual exploitations from her owner back in Kuwait, the people thought I am spoiling the name of Goan women or Catholic women. But there was one priest, Catholic priest, who said no, what he has written is it's a depiction of real life and it has to come forward. And he took upon himself the cudgels to publish it in his daily. What I mean to say is, I don't think any threats, I don't have to, no writers should. I also refer to S. Harish, Misha was also. After writing it, it was misconstrued and people threatened him. It is unfortunate. This should not happen. What happened to Perumal Murugan is still worse. He had to declare that writer Perumal Murugan is bad. But you can imagine the psychological turmoil that writers have to go through when innocently they write something. It is very unfortunate, but I never bothered about it. Yes, in the land of humans, where I was talking about the killing of cows at butchery, or rather burger, where beef burger is eaten by a Hindu girl. These are the things we have to look forward, not backward. So modern day people eat anything. If you go to Australia or US, you cannot remain, I don't say it is not possible, because there are vegans also in Europe and other places.
But it is difficult.
Very difficult. No, you always move about in society. You eat what others eat. I never had any doubts in my mind. Whenever I am invited to Catholic weddings, I eat what they serve, not of my choice. I'll see. If I don't like, I may not eat. And I have not taught I have 3 daughters. I have not taught my daughters also to keep away from any dish that is brought before you. So,
but in the land of humans created a controversy long after it has been published.
Yes, most of the things happen like that.
And that was related to the controversy was created by the so-called Gaurakshaks.
Gaurakshaks, yeah. Yeah, it is true. But then it subsided also.
And also you criticized the people behind the killing of Mahendra Dhabolkar.
Yeah.
And that also created so many enemies for you in the
It is a sad chapter in the history of literature, I would say, where people like Narendra Dabholkar, who is an excellent writer. Of course, he did not write fiction, but in non-fiction, he was excellent. He was, Samaj Sudharak.
Yeah.
Whatever he wrote, it was in order to bring in transformation in society where people did not think properly or they were on the wrong path. Same thing with M.M. Kalaburgi. He was of progressive mind. So many of his followers probably did not like him. What happened to Gauri Lankesh also we know. It is when Gauri Lankesh, when she was assassinated, then the SIT people found that my name was on the hit list. And then I was given protection. That's that apart. But it is a very sad thing that writers are trolled, writers are threatened. I think the society as a whole should give their full backing to creative writers or artists.
Another thing I would like to mention is now the Uniform Civil Code is very much in the topics.
Yeah.
And it is always referred by the Sangh Parivar that Goa has already been implemented the Uniform Civil Code there. And the criticism, the critics of Uniform Civil Code always referring to the Hindu practices that has been still prevalent in Goa. What is the real situation?
No, I'll tell you. In Goa, we enjoy, I don't say anything about it, we enjoy this Uniform Civil Code that is prevailing in Goa because it is only to protect our interests. But it was Goa of 60 years back. Now the so-called Hindu community, which is prevailing today in Goa, they are of different kinds, different sects, different castes. We had limited number of castes, and it was to help our society. I think we have benefited by uniform common civil code, but unfortunately in India, the rest of India, where they want to implement, they should implement. In fact, I am for implementing uniform civil code, but not by ignoring the sections, the sects, where their marital practices are different from ours. So they have to be very cautious about it. And I personally feel, actually, what is your intention? I'm asking the leaders at the helm, what is the intention to bring in this? I don't think intention is very clear, and I don't think it is very honest. The reason is they think that if we bring in common civil code, uniform civil code, then probably the other community, and they want to stress upon that.
Yeah.
They prefer to the others. So they think that the other community will raise hue and cry because it will go against their practices. It is not so. There will be bigger and bigger voice against uniform civil code from the Hindu
community itself.
But then they don't realize it, and now they have kept mum because it does not suit them. So what I mean is, if whatever you do with good intentions, then you have to be open, and we should be open to accept it.
When we see Goa, the political situation, there is always a lot of political instability is there in Goa.
Yes.
And nowadays, the BJP is making their presence in government or forming government by using money or muscle power or buying MLAs, or all those things are happening there.
Yes.
Why Goans are not at all interested in a clean political situation in Goa?
No, it is not that. Goans are very, they are aware of what is going on. They are always jagrut, But then they are taken for granted. And now politics has become a business. So those who invest in getting elected, they expect much more in return. So instead of working for the benefit of people, they prefer to change sides, get enough money for the next few generations, and keep quiet. Yes, you find by nature Goans are not, not the kind of people who will take to streets or agitate. They are agitated from within. They don't like these practices. But unfortunately, it has become the way of life. And it's very sad, very unfortunate. Once get and by the way, those who have changed the sides, it doesn't mean they have changed their own ideology. No, there is no ideology. The present day, the government is BJP government. More than 60%, more than 75% are non-BJPs. So it's a Congress BJP government. So they have bought at a time tens of MLAs. I'm sorry I use the term bought, I don't say, because I can't say that. But then people talk about it. So it is true, they are changing sides, but it is not directly influencing the local atmosphere. But yes, certainly they are doing slowly but steadily. They are making inroads in the psyche of people. Slightly, the minority feel threatened, but this is happening all over the country. Goa can't be away from that. But now and then, again and again, Goa has been electing non-BJP people. And
BJP forms the government.
The BJP forms the government.
Yeah, I would like to ask another one also, because what about the Christian believers, followers of Christianity in Goa? Do they believe in the BJP, or the BJP has...
leave aside. Hindu, I don't like to call these people Hindus and that people. It is not so. As I told you, at the first hustings after Goa's liberation, it was the Maharashtravadi Gomantak party. It is not because Maharashtravadi party, Maharashtravadi is pro-Maharashtra.
Yeah, pro-Maharashtra.
It is not pro-Maharashtra. It was a party formed by our first Chief Minister Bandodkar, who had some ideology, which was close. I mean, every Hindu thought that he is our man. That is why Hindus were with him. Catholics, soon after liberation, there were apprehensions that now that Goa has joined the Indian Union, probably the Catholics will suffer. That apprehension was there. And that is why probably they came together to form United Goans Party. So ever since then, there has been this divide, in political divide. But,
one side there is Maharashtra Government Party is there, and then
60-40, we call it in, earlier it was 30 members, so it will be Sola Choda, that is Sola 14 and 16, politics of 16 and 14. But then it changed later when the Congress entered the avenue. And now it's unfortunate. It is not that Catholics are highly educated. They think properly, but then sometimes, yes, our people take them for granted.
I ask this question because in Kerala, the BJP is planning to enter into the Christian community, and they are meeting the bishops. They are going to the Christian houses, and they are trying to make inroads into the Christian community, so that they think that the majority Hindu population plus Christian minority, they can form the government. That is what is happening in Kerala. They are not winning. That is another case, but they are trying. So that I am asking about Goa. What is happening there?
No. Basically, a big chunk of Hindus are against the BJP. They are with the Congress. They have been with the Congress rather. And almost 100% of Catholics, they are not part of BJP, never been part of BJP. It's the power convenience, the power politics plays a game. So they need, supposing it's a Hindu party, people call it a Hindu party, BJP. Then they want to prove that it is not a Hindu party. So they will try to catch somebody and bring in, give him a ticket or bring him in the party. This politics goes on. But generally people they prefer to live in a good harmony, whether political or social.
When we thought about the national political scenario, the BJP is in power from 2014,
yes,
and they repeatedly won the election in 2019 with a bigger margin. In 2024, they claim that they are going to win, and they are implementing the Hindutva policies through legal terms as well as illegal terms also. And the situation all over the country the country is facing a threat to the democratic system as well as the secular system. And what do you think? Are you a positive?
I'm an optimist, and I think the number game they are playing will go on down and down because nothing is permanent in politics. Yes, they are playing the religious card, the caste card. That is creating problem. Unfortunately, I think our makers of constitution had a vision, and we were making a progress towards that, particularly secular India. But for the last 2 election terms, I think we have suffered a big setback. We have to be very careful now. And I think the conscientious people, educated people should look beyond this religion and caste issue. And then only we can come out of it. But I am hopeful that this equation will change. I don't think they will. But then common people who are away from TV or away from the social media or away from the mainstream ideology. I'm not talking about that the other ideology, but about progressive-minded or secular-minded people. They are smaller in number, but they have capacity to influence others. I only hope they become active, and this is now the new method that the present dispensation has adapted of using ED and CBI and IT to get what they want. That is unfortunate. I don't understand why common people, probably it doesn't reach up to them, why they don't understand these games. The educated people, they know. But I have more faith in uneducated, illiterate people who are very honest by nature. Unfortunately, they do not know what is happening. They cannot read in between the lines, so they get carried away when something happens. And nobody bothers about what happened to those Pahalwan girls who were molested by the BJP MP, the Brijbhushan Singh. He gets scot-free, and our great woman leader, who is the protector of women, in charge of welfare, women welfare, children welfare, she is making big hue and cry when there is a flying kiss given to the entire house, as if it is aimed at women, making an issue from nothing. And we know why it is made. People don't pay, because all the media is sold out. Media, I rightly call it Godi media, but then because of that, probably we don't reach out to the common people. People think, yes, Rahul Gandhi has given a kiss. What do you mean by that? And what about the man sitting right behind? We can see on the screen. He was right few rows behind. It was Brijbhushan who had molested, and with still case is going on, and nobody talks about him. This is a very sad situation. This situation, unless law and order is in place in our country, nothing is going to improve. But I am hopeful that as writers, I think writers have a major role to play, whether artists or writers. They have to use their conscience when they write. They have to write with conscience. Otherwise, they will only end up becoming cheerleaders of the leaders at the helm.
Okay, sir. Thank you. Thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you.